So I'm about 3.5 hours out from Scranton, heading up for Raw Nationals. Feeling pretty good, for the most part anyway. I'm helping a couple people out this weekend too, and their training's going pretty well. So hopefully everyone all around has a pretty decent weekend. It's really funny, just thinking about something while I'm heading up here. Like, my frequency of training has still been the same this past week. So including the competition, I'll have had 3 days of squatting, benching, and deadlifting. But instead of splitting it across 6 days, it's split up into 2 mock meets and then the actual meet. And still messed around with some different stuff. Tried going a little bit heavier on squats earlier in the week, and then pretty heavy on bench yesterday, which is 2 days out from the competition. Just because the last 7 weeks or so I've gone pretty heavy. For actually a decent amount of volume for the percentages I was working with. And I've noticed that going lighter, like taking it pretty easy going into the meet, I was never hitting the actual benches that I was doing when I was working up to like a training max. So I know last competition I did, the last kind of bigger one, was that one up in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan for the NAPF championships. And I was benching 405, 410 with relative ease every single Friday going into the last couple of weeks of that competition. And I get into meet week, and I think I only hit like 75% for a couple of singles or something dumb like that. And I get to the meet, and I had 400 pounds on the bar, and it felt like it might as well have just been me trying to press a goddamn dump truck off my chest. And so I really think I'm a really big believer in kind of residual training effects. So all that means is, you work on a certain quality or a certain skill, then you have a timeline where, the cessation of training that skill, where the actual benefits of it kind of dissipate. And, there's a lot of, not a lot of information out about that. The first time I heard about it was when I started reading Vladimir Isharin stuff, and like the block training books and just some of the other stuff he's written. So basically, for a really high neurological demand skill like strength or speed or explosiveness, those have the shortest residual training effects. And I'm pretty sure Dr. Isharin laid it out so that like strength and speed, two super high demands, very, very neurologically demanding skills. The residual training effect of those is once you stop training those skills, you only have about, at most a week to retain the actual benefits of training that certain skill. And I've just, experiments with myself and then people I make training programs for, and just the people I've trained over the years, I guess, it really seems to hold, pretty true. I'm a really firm believer, I guess it'd be concurrent training, where you train all the skills necessary for the sport a little bit all the time with, shifting focuses around. So obviously for powerlifting purposes, when you look at any decent program, everyone does the same shit. They start out with a lot of volume, relatively high intensity, and then it's an inverse relationship between the two, where everything gets a little bit heavier, volume goes down. That's every program pretty much. So, but the issue with that might be that super heavy volume phase where you're building up work capacity and you're getting a little bit bigger and everything, probably gaining a little bit of strength as well. The issue therein comes, 30 days after you're done training that skill, like muscular endurance or, cardiovascular, like aerobic endurance, stuff like that. You actually start getting decrements in the performance of those skills when you go back and retest them. So that was just something else I was messing around with my training. I kept a pretty high volume day in the beginning of the week, and then just like tapered down. In the last couple weeks leading into training, I was hitting, max, basically a training max for doubles on squats on Saturdays, finding a new like 9.5 RPE for a single on deadlifts, then doing some back off stuff for both of those based on percentages of what I actually lifted that day. And then every Friday I was actually trying to hit a paused max. But anyway, just a little description of that stuff. The interesting thing that I found I've noticed that just not doing my typical warm-up routine that I do, 6 days a week, my hips are all jacked up. Just pain, like just tightness and everything like that. And albeit, I'm also trying not to drink any caffeine this week as well, so get a little boost from that on Sunday. Just to kind of get it cleared out of my system and stuff, just so I start having some of the, kind of acute effects of it. Just getting all jazzed up, because I drink a shitload of coffee, so I think I've developed a pretty big tolerance to caffeine. But anyway, so just not going through the motions, kind of not doing my typical warm-up stuff that I do, and really I think it's just not lifting, not training 6 times a week this week. Like, my knees hurt, my hips all messed up, my back hurts, but nothing major or anything. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm probably gonna stop and do another little mobility break coming up here. I got my seat warmer on, feeling all right for the most part. But so I'll probably do another little video update the more I think about stuff while I'm driving. I'm just bored as shit, because driving through fucking Delaware, there's not a whole lot going on in Delaware. I just keep thinking of that Wayne's World sketch where, or it was from the first movie, where they're in front of the green screen, and Wayne and Garth are going visiting different states around the country, and they're like, we're in Texas, let's go buy a gun and go to a rodeo. And they're like, hey, we're in New York City, all this stuff. And then the Delaware pops up, and they both just stop dancing around and go, hi, we're in Delaware. And that's, I passed a couple of screen door factories and a racetrack, and that's really about all that goes on in Delaware, I think. So hopefully I'm about to hit the Pennsylvania line. Not 100% sure, because I try to avoid Pennsylvania like the plague when I'm driving around the country and stuff like that. But hopefully this wasn't too long-winded or stupid. I'm gonna do another one in a little bit. Not even sure if I'm gonna make this into a video. So I don't know. Poop. Whatever.